I had just finished cursing Emperor Xuanzong of Tang for his folly, when, in the next second, I transmigrated into his most neglected son. With only 3 months left until the An Lushan rebellion, An Lushan was sharpening his sword while the entire court was still singing praises. To survive, I flattered my way to a princely title in the imperial court, then volunteered to lead troops to suppress bandits, just to get far away from Chang'an and keep my head on my shoulders. The crown prince, failing to win me over, directly sent men to block my path, trying to teach me a lesson. But who would have thought on the eve of my wedding, Yang Yuhuan, whom I had never met, actually sent me a suit of gleaming armor. I was just skimming through Tang history and complaining. An Lushan replaced 32 Han generals with his own, and Emperor Xuanzong actually agreed. Next came the An Lushan rebellion, the great tragedy of the Tang Dynasty. Such a pity for the eternal beauty, Yang Yuhuan. If I could travel back in time, An Lushan wouldn't stand chance. I'd detake Yang Yuhuan for myself, protect the Tang Dynasty, and shoulder the fate of all the people under Heavenly Fan would do it all. No sooner had the words left my mouth than my brain spun violently. My consciousness plunged into a tunnel of time, and with a bang like a judge's gavel striking the bench. Startle me awake. Damn it. Guards, expel this man from the Tai Chi Palace and strip him of his position as imperial tutor. For you've grown old. We want a 25-year-old for back. Inside the resplendent Tai Chi Palace, the entire court of civil and military officials was dead silent. I looked around, completely bewildered. Golden dragons coiled around the pillars, exquisite massive chimes, and ministers standing in rows on both sides. Floods of memories poured into my mind. It was the year 755, the 14th year of the Tianbao era. I had become Li Longji's 29th son, Emperor Xuanzong of Tang. Li Fan. Holy crap. I just shot my mouth off once, and it actually sent me to the Tang Dynasty. And it was 3 months before the outbreak of the Anshur Rebellion. According to history, all of Li Longji's sons, except Crown Prince Li Heng, will be hacked to death in Chang'an by An Lushan's men, including me. Damn, I couldn't hold it in. Instantly, countless eyes turned towards me. Even Yi Zhizhong had been demoted for speaking out. A mere invisible 29th prince actually dared to interject. On the dragon throne, Li Longji's murky gaze fell on me. Li Fan, you tell me, have I done wrong? My hair stood on end. If Yi Zhizhong was dismissed for calling him fatuous, then if I said he was wrong, heads would roll. If I said he wasn't wrong, and An Lushan really did rebel, I'd be branded an accomplice to a traitor. Either answer meant death. Under the threat of execution, a flash of wit struck me. I strode forward, bowed with clasped hands. Your Majesty, this son believes that the rise and fall of a nation is like the passing of youth, inevitable. Emperors Qin and Han were geniuses bestowed by heaven, yet looking over their whole lives, who among them was perfect? In the court, Yang Guozhong, Gao Lishur, and the others lit up with surprise. The 29th prince, always weak and incompetent, had actually uttered such brilliant words. The hostility in Li Longji's demeanor clearly softened. As he pressed on, I wiped cold sweat frantically. The mighty Tang rose through your Majesty, and after the glorious Kaiyuan heyday, it was destined to leave its name in history. But now the prime of the great Tang is no more. The sun is setting. This sun is deeply pained. Your Majesty worked hard to build the glorious Tang Empire, but you have grown old now, having accomplished what would take several generations. As your son, I have failed to inherit even a fraction of your divine might. The decline of the flourishing Tang Dynasty is my fault. The blame lies with the officials as well. If we had been more capable, how could the flourishing Tang have come to this? His words struck like thunder, shocking the entire court. This flattery was masterful. It affirmed the emperor's achievements without leaving any handle for criticism, while taking the blame for the decline upon himself and the officials. Li Longji on the dragon throne went from cloudy to clear, showing a gratified expression. Fanner, you have grown up. You understand matters now. I see you are already of age to be enfeoffed as a prince. Gao Lishur, draft an edict. Enfeoff the 29th prince, Li Fan, as the Prince of Foam. With a fief of 10,000 households, appointed as the head of the Imperial Academy, and granted the right to participate in state affairs. The Taiji Palace trembled. Gasps of shock echoed endlessly. A concubine-born son, Nearly 20 and never in theft as a prince with just one speech, I was made a prince and granted the right to participate in state affairs. I could clearly feel several jealous and even hostile gazes from Crown Prince Li Hung and others, but I couldn't afford to care about them. I knew that on September 21st, 755 AD, the An Lushan rebellion was less than 3 months away. If history followed its course, the rebel army marched south. Millions died horribly. Women were reduced to playthings, men treated like beasts of burden. And I, as the Prince of Feng, would also die at the hands of An Lushan. I wanted to advise Li Longji to be wary of An Lushan, but swallowed the words. In his old age, Li Longji only listened to flattery. He trusted An Lushan deeply. Rather than inviting trouble, it was better to plan ahead. After much thought, I had another sudden idea. Father Emperor, wait! The officials who were about to offer congratulations were startled. Li Longji frowned, thinking I was dissatisfied with the rewards. No, Father Emperor. I'm immensely grateful for your bestowal. But with the nation in crisis, I enjoy the privileges of a prince, yet cannot share your burdens. I feel ashamed. I wish to decline all rewards. I only ask for a task, Father Emperor. Li Longji stroked his beard. What task do you want? Without hesitation, I said, I wish to go suppress bandits. Before the Ensure Rebellion, land annexation had reached its peak, and countless displaced people had become outlaws. By suppressing bandits, I could quickly accumulate military merit and gain control of the army, preparing for the Ensure Rebellion while staying away from the political maelstrom of Chang'an. Are you certain? Yes, Father Emperor, I am certain. Many counties in eastern Zhejiang are plagued by roving bandits. I request an imperial decree to suppress them. If you fail, present your head. Crown Prince Li Hung and Yang Guozhong wanted to stop him, but before they could speak, Li Longji was overjoyed. Good. It's rare for you to have such resolve to burn your bridges. Granted, the Prince of Feng is confirmed in his title. I give you 3,000 Dragon Guard soldiers to pacify the bandits in eastern Zhejiang. If you succeed, I shall reward you handsomely. The court was shocked. The Dragon Guard was one of the 6 divisions of the Northern Guard, the elite Central Imperial Army of Emperor Xuanzong's era, and he had just handed it over to the Prince of Feng. Yes, thank you, Father Emperor. I was almost laughing inside. Great Tang, here I come. An Lushan, just you wait. As ministers offered congratulations, Li Longji added, You're nearly 20 and still have no princess consort. I will arrange a marriage for you. Start a family before building your career. Marry first, then suppress the bandits. I was stunned. An arranged marriage? No way. What if she's hideously ugly and I can't return her? Father Emperor, there's no rush. Why no rush? It's settled. Li Longji was unyielding. I tried to refuse, but one sidelong glance from him made my back prickle like needles. This wasn't care, it was wariness. I was out suppressing bandits while my wife was held hostage in the capital, a classic tactic of ancient emperors. If I refused to suppress the bandits, it would surely fall through. This Li Longji is the one who even stole his own daughter-in-law. Your son obeys the imperial decree. Thank you, Father Emperor. I had no choice but to agree. Li Longji looked at Gao Lishur. Gao Lishur smiled and said, Your Majesty, the eldest daughter of the former Lu Prefecture Governor, Xiao Lizzie, comes from a scholarly family. She has been well read since childhood, with a beauty that astonishes the heavens, known as the foremost beauty of Lu Prefecture. At 18, skilled in dance and music, not yet married. After her father died, Your Majesty moved her family to Chang'an to care for them. She could be the Princess of Feng. I felt uneasy. In the Tang Dynasty, plumpness was considered beautiful. Could this foremost beauty be a 200-pound meatball? Prince Feng, what do you think? I said bitterly. Your son will follow whatever Father Emperor arranges. Good, then it's settled. Gao Lishur, pick an auspicious day for the wedding. After the court session, all the officials came to congratulate and curry favor. I was about to make an excuse to leave when a deep voice rang out. 29th brother. The ministers instantly changed expression and stepped back. Crown Prince Li Hung, dressed in a python robe, appeared honest and loyal. Yet there was a deep look in his eyes. Historically, this man was the second person to ascend the throne while his father, the emperor, was still alive. Your younger brother pays respects to the crown prince. I responded politely. Li Hung helped me up and said with a smile, Today at court, father valued the Prince of Feng as heavily as a mountain. I see it and feel quite inferior. In the future, I'm afraid I'll have to bow to the Prince of Foam. These words were said in jest, but many truths are spoken through jokes. It seemed that my performance at the Taiji Palace had aroused suspicion in the Crown Prince. Elder brother Crown Prince, you flatter me. You are the heir and also my elder brother. Not to mention now, even 10 years later, your younger brother will still bow to you, elder brother Crown Prince. But Li Heng said, 29th brother, I came to persuade you to give up suppressing the bandits. The terrain is wild and rugged, and you have grown up in the palace without experience in marching and fighting. Why wade into troubled waters? Stay in Chang'an and enjoy your newlywed bliss with your consort. The Secretariat, the Censorate, the Chancellery, take your pick. I'll arrange a position for you. Stay in Chang'an and assist me. We brothers can work together. How about that? The underlying intent was unmistakable. He didn't trust me to lead troops. Either I'd join the Crown Prince's faction, or I'd be showing disrespect. In the imperial family, showing disrespect is often fatal. If not for the impending and sure rebellion, currying favor would be a good thing. But if I don't join the army, I'll die, and millions across the realm will die too. I take a deep breath. Elder brother Crown Prince, father has already decreed. Going back on his word now won't sit well. I will report this myself. Liang's Smilagradualis defense. The Eastern Palace officials begin casting warning, pressuring glances. Your brother only acts for the nation. Nothing else, no selfish motives. If there's nothing else, your brother shall take his leave. Li Heng's face instantly darkens. Stop. The Eastern Palace officials directly block the way. My gaze also turns cold. What does His Highness the Crown Prince mean? Li Heng looks around, waves his hand to let the officials step aside, and speaks gently but without a trace of sincerity. Only naked threats remain. It wasn't easy for you to rise from among so many concubine-born brothers. Listen to your elder brother, you can't handle this. If he spoke nicely, I'd be happy to be courteous. But pulling this trick? Sorry, I'll do the opposite. Push too far, we'll clash at Xuanwu Gate. Your Highness the Crown Prince, your brother takes his leave. I clasp my hands and stride away. I cannot entrust my fate to him. My destiny must be in my own hands. The Eastern Palace officials were shocked. Your Highness, the Prince of Foam, is too arrogant. He must be taught a lesson. Li Heng said expressionlessly, let the Ministry of Rites send some people to the Shao family, under the pretext of instructing the new Princess of Foam in royal etiquette and preparing for the wedding. To temper the youthful arrogance of my 29th brother, leaving the Taiji Palace, I rushed to move out of that gloomy, unfeeling royal residence. Once outside, the bustling streets of Chang'an immediately captivated me. Crowds of people flowing, clusters of ancient buildings, and faces of Chang people, Western red-haired barbarians, and black people everywhere. This was the 7th century cultural center of the world, but regrettably, all of this would turn to ashes in 3 months. Even if the rebellion is suppressed, the fortunes of the Great Tang will run out. Thinking of this, I silently vowed to stop this catastrophe and ensure that the Han people forever stand at the peak. The civil and military officials, who were about to offer congratulations, were stunned. Hold on, Li Longji frowned. What, dissatisfied with the rewards? No, Your Majesty's rewards. Your son is deeply grateful. But now the country is in trouble, and I enjoy the privilege of being a prince. Yet I cannot share the nation's burdens, nor relieve Your Majesty's worries and difficulties. I feel ashamed in my heart. I wish to decline all rewards. I only ask that Your Majesty assign me a task, to share Your Majesty's worries. Li Fan's gaze was serious and determined. Although he disliked Li Longji, who had stolen his son's wife, the one who ruined the prosperous Tang and plunged the people into misery. But after all, the other was the emperor. Li Longji's aged hand stroked his beard. Upon hearing these words, he was quite pleased. Oh, then what task do you want? Li Fan's eyes darted. Without hesitation, he said, Your Majesty, I wish to go suppress the bandits. In the year of the An Lushan rebellion, even though the rebellion had not yet erupted, but the Tang Dynasty was not entirely peaceful internally. The chronic problem of feudalism land annexation reached its peak that year. This was also one of the causes of the An Lushan rebellion. Vast amounts of land were seized by wealthy gentry and nobles. This led to a massive number of displaced refugees within the Tang territory. And these refugees, having no way out, simply chose to become bandits, burning, killing, and looting. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire court was stunned. Why would a prince, content in his position, want to take on the hard task of suppressing bandits? How could they guess Li Fan's plan? As long as he could suppress bandits, he could quickly accumulate military merits, take control of the army, and thus prepare for the An Lushan rebellion. Moreover, he could stay away from the political turmoil in Chang'an. To stay safe? Are you sure? Li Longji fronat, sumawat dukting Li Fan's ability. After all, suppressing bandits wasn't just about talking. In his memory, few of his sons had any military talent. Your Majesty, I am sure, your son recalls that multiple counties in the Zhejiang region have been plagued by roaming bandits. Your son requests permission to suppress the bandits. If I fail, I offer my head an apology. Li Fan directly issued a military pledge, because this matter was truly important to him. Once the An Lushan rebellion breaks out, nothing can be relied upon. He could only rely on himself. He had to enter the military. Crown Prince Li Heng, Imperial Uncle Yang Guozhong, and many others frowned, unwilling to let Li Fan take the lead. They wanted to stop him, but before they could speak, Li Longji was overjoyed. Li Fan's boldness and fighting spirit reminded him of his own youth. A glint of admiration shone in his eyes. Excellent, it's rare to find such unwavering determination, and a heart willing to share my burdens. I approve. However, you will still be in theft as Prince Feng. Furthermore, I grant you 3,000 Dragon Martial Army troops. Go to the Zhejiang region to pacify the bandits. If you succeed, I will surely reward you handsomely. Hearing this, the courtiers were shocked. The Dragon Martial Army was one of the 6 divisions of the Northern Guard Imperial Army. It was the Central Imperial Guard from Emperor Xuanzong's reign in the Tang Dynasty, belonging to the elite forces, though only 3,000 men. Yet it was handed over to Prince Feng just like that. Many were utterly astonished. 1 second ago, he was the ignored 29th prince. The next second, he became Prince Feng, holding military power. Yes, thank you, Father Emperor. Your son accepts the order and will not let you down. Li Fan clasped his fists, his heart nearly bursting with laughter. This is far more useful than any prince title. Once the An Lushan rebellion breaks out, princes will be slaughtered like pigs and dogs. But with an army, it's different. Great Tang, here I come, Li Fan. An Lushan, just you wait. I will definitely stop this catastrophe. He shouted in his heart. With high morale, we congratulate His Highness Prince Feng. We offer our congratulations to Prince Feng, wishing Prince Feng immediate success in his mission and a triumphant return. Liang, Yang Guozhong, and others, though unwilling and resentful, could only follow the ministers in offering congratulations. At this moment, the aged and weary-looking Li Longji suddenly seemed to remember something. He then said, "In these years, I have paid you less attention. You are nearly 20, but you still do not have a princess consort. How about this? Before you set off to suppress the bandits, I will arrange a marriage for you." After all, the ancients said, first establish a family, then establish a career, then achieve merit. Li Fan was stunned. Arrange a marriage? No, absolutely not. What if she's damn ugly, and I can't return her? Father, well, there's no rush for this. He forced out an awkward yet polite smile. Li Longji shook his head, very firm. How can there be no rush? This matter is settled. Finish the wedding first, then suppress the bandits. Li Fan was about to decline again, but a sidelong glance from Li Longji made his back feel as if pricked by needles. He suddenly realized, this is not a father's care for his son, but an emperor's wariness of a prince. The betrothal was a pretext. The real intention was to create a bond to keep him tethered, while he was out suppressing bandits. His wife remained in the capital as a hostage. This was a common tactic used by ancient emperors. If he refused, he would surely suffer greatly. Most likely, the bandit suppression mission would fall through. Li Fan took a deep breath, gaining a newfound understanding of the emperor's ruthlessness. The cruelty of the imperial family, this Li Longji, was the very man who had even stolen his own daughter-in-law. Your son accepts the decree. Thank you, Father Emperor. He could only agree under duress. Only then did Li Longji show satisfaction. He turned to Gao Li Shi. I recall, the only daughter of Lady Changyang remains unmarried, does she not? Gao Li Shi, a high-ranking eunuch official, held a whisk in his hand and replied with a bow and a smile. Your Majesty, have you forgotten? Last year, you already granted her a marriage decree. Li Longji frowned upon hearing this. Gao Lisher quickly added, Your Majesty, this servant does know a candidate. Oh, who? The eldest daughter of the former governor of Luzhou, Xiao Lizzie. She comes from a scholarly family. She's been well read in classics since childhood, and her appearance is stunningly beautiful. She is known as the foremost beauty of Luzhou. At 18, she is skilled in dance, well-versed in music, and is not yet married. Since the death of the governor of Luzhou, Your Majesty decreed that her family be brought to Chang'an for care. This servant believes she could be appointed as the princess consort of Prince Feng. Hearing Gao Lisher's tone, Li Fan felt increasingly uncertain. Damn it, in the Tang Dynasty, plumpness was considered beautiful. The foremost beauty Gao Lisher spoke of. Couldn't she be a 200-gene blob of fat? Li Longji's eyes lit up. Not bad. Prince Feng, what do you think? Li Fan was extremely bitter. He thought, if I say I'm unwilling, you'll be displeased again. Yes, your son will follow your imperial father's arrangements. Good, then it's settled. Gao Lisher, handle this matter. Pick an auspicious day recently, and we can get married. Yes. Soon after, the morning court ended. On the Palace Avenue, officials bustled about, forming groups to chat and discuss. Li Fan was no longer the same person. He had become one of the emperor's favored princes. Naturally, he was surrounded by ministers offering congratulations and flattery. Congratulations, Prince Feng. Best wishes, Prince Feng. I always knew you were no ordinary man. Hearing all these praises, Li Fan was not interested at all. None of these people truly celebrated for him. When you have power, everyone around you becomes nice. It's been the same throughout history. He was about to find an excuse to leave, when suddenly a somewhat deep voice sounded. 29th brother. As soon as this was said, the faces of the congratulating ministers changed dramatically. We pay respects to the crown prince. After speaking, they instinctively stepped back, as if afraid to stand with Li Fan any longer. Li Heng waved his hand slightly. The ministers took the hint and left. Li Fan was slightly startled. Crown Prince Li Heng, another famous figure from history. Li Heng was wearing a python robe, somewhat stout with small eyes. On the surface, he seemed honest and loyal, but deep in his eyes lay a hint of cunning. In history, he was the second person after Li Shimin to ascend the throne while his father was still alive. A man who did just that. It's hard to say whether he was good or bad, but he certainly wasn't a pushover. Your humble brother greets the crown prince. Unsure of the other's intentions, Li Fan responded politely. Li Heng helped him up with a smile. Prince of Feng, no need for such formalities. In court today, father placed great importance on you. So much so that I feel inadequate by comparison. I think in the future, I'll have to bow to you instead. He joked lightly. Li Fan frowned slightly. Although Li Heng was joking, but many a truth is spoken in jest. It seemed that my performance today at the Taiji Palace had aroused this crown prince's suspicions. Yet I had no intention of vying for the throne. I had only one goal: to control the military and protect myself, and to prevent the catastrophe of the Ensure rebellion. In a few months, the Tang Central Army would be routed for thousands of miles. Countless commoners would meet their deaths, and women would be cruelly turned into playthings. Elder brother Crown Prince, you flatter me. You are the heir apparent, and also my elder brother. Not only now, but even 10 years from now, I, your younger brother, will still bow to you, elder brother Crown Prince. This answer was sincere and polite enough. But Li Heng did not seem satisfied. Li Fan's sudden rise made him uneasy, and he always suspected it was a strategy of biding one's time. He put on an amiable smile. 29th brother, what are you saying? We are blood brothers. Saying that makes us seem like strangers. Actually, I came to find you, to advise you to give up suppressing the bandits. After all, that place is barren and treacherous. You've been in the palace since childhood, and you don't understand marching and warfare. Why wade into that muddy water? Staying in Chang'an to enjoy your honeymoon with your princess will be far better. Besides, the Secretariat, the Censorate, and the Chancellery, these 3 offices. You can pick any one of them. I'll make the decision and reserve a spot for you. You'll stay in Chang'an to assist me. Let us brothers work together with one heart. What do you say? After speaking, he smiled and looked at Li Fan, awaiting his answer. Li Fan frowned, a headache coming on. The meaning beneath his words was clearly that he didn't trust him to lead troops to suppress the bandits. Either listen to him and become part of the Crown Prince's faction, or conversely, show disrespect. And such disrespect in the royal family is often fatal. This Li Heng was absolutely not as simple and honest as he appeared. As expected of the successor of the Li Tang Dynasty, his imperial scheming is layered and profound. But there is also a common flaw: suspicion. Under normal circumstances, he would have agreed readily. Clutching a powerful thigh is a good thing. Li Heng is also a man of destiny. But the problem is that the An Lushan rebellion is coming. He must join the army. Otherwise, he will die. And millions of innocent people will also die. The entire Han race will suffer an unprecedented blow, sowing a huge calamity. Thinking of this, Li Fan had already made up his mind. Taking a deep breath, he cupped his hands and said, "Eldest brother Crown Prince, His Majesty has already decreed. To go back on his word now would likely make it hard for both of us to account for it." Upon hearing this, Li Heng's smile froze. 29th brother, you need not worry about that. I will report myself. At the same time, the eyes of the officials from the Eastern Palace began to carry a hint of warning and pressure, making passing ministers afraid to approach, choosing to take a detour instead. The atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Li Fan was helpless. He couldn't exactly tell him. An Lushan is about to rebel. The great Tang is doomed. Crown Prince, elder brother. Your younger brother only acts for the state, for nothing else, without selfish motives. If there's nothing else, your younger brother will take his leave. After all, His Majesty has granted a marriage decree, and there is still much to attend to. He thought to himself, can't afford to provoke him, so I'll just keep out of his way. But Li Heng's honest face instantly darkened. One moment he was kind and magnanimous. The next he revealed a cold and harsh side. A stark contrast. Stop right there. In a flash, the officials of the Eastern Palace blocked the way. Li Fan's gaze also turned cold. Your Highness the Crown Prince, what do you mean by this? Li Heng glanced around, seeming wary that this was Xuanwu Gate. Then he waved his hand, and the officials cleared the path. 29th brother, it wasn't easy for you to rise from among so many concubine-born brothers and step into the spotlight. I hope you can listen to your eldest brother. You can't handle his sweet talk. Li Fan felt not a shred of sincerity, only a blatant threat. This made Li Fan very uncomfortable. If spoken to politely, he would have been civil in return. But if they played this game, then he would be sorry. He would do the opposite. If pushed too far, worst case, they'd clash at Xuanwu Gate. Your Royal Highness the Crown Prince, your younger brother takes his leave. He didn't answer, just clasped his hands in a salute, then strode away. He could not entrust his fate to Li Heng's hands. His fate was his to control. Since they couldn't reach an agreement, he would not back down. The officials of the Eastern Palace were shocked. Prince Feng dared to show such disrespect to the Crown Prince. Your Highness, Prince Feng is too presumptuous. He must be taught a lesson. Li Heng was expressionless. He didn't respond, only stared intently at Li Fan's retreating figure. A hint of ferocity appeared on his honest-looking face. 29th brother, this will be the worst choice you've ever made in your life. With that, he turned and left. He left a faint remark hanging in the air. Instruct the Ministry of Rites to, on the grounds of teaching the new princess of Feng imperial etiquette, and preparing for the wedding, send some people to the Xiao family to curb the youthful arrogance of the 29th brother. Hearing this, the Crown Prince's officials' eyes lit up. They instantly understood the implication. Revenge against Feng at this time would surely displease His Majesty, but using the pretext of teaching etiquette will be perfectly justified. The Crown Prince is brilliant. Yes, leaving the Taiji Palace, Li Fan, without halting, moved out of the palace without a trace of reluctance. That place, the palace, was gloomy and eerie. Devoid of human warmth, everyone, regardless of status, wore a stiff face. They walked with bent backs. It was too oppressive. As soon as he left the palace, the bustling streets of Chang'an immediately captivated Li Fan's eyes. As the capital of the prosperous Tang Dynasty, and a cultural center of the 7th century world, as well as its political hub, its prosperity and beauty were beyond the imagination of later generations, and could not be captured by any film. Crowds surged, Ancient buildings clustered like clouds. Culture was resplendent. There were Hu people, Chong people, Western red-hair barbarians, and even a great number of black faces, the so-called Kunlun slaves recorded in history. Pusamin, these were the slaves most favored by Tang nobility. As a true Blue Han Chinese, Li Fan felt awe and deep nostalgia this people had truly once shone brilliantly. Any Han Chinese, upon seeing Chang'an in its high Tang glory, would feel proud. What a pity, though all this would turn to ashes in 3 months. The most brutal catastrophe in Han history was about to descend. When that time came, no one could stand aside. Millions would die unnatural deaths. Even if the rebellion was quelled, the fate of the Tang Dynasty would still be sealed. Losing control over foreign states. Losing vast amounts of land. Thinking of this, Li Fan couldn't help clenching his fists. In great pain, he secretly vowed to stop this catastrophe so that the Han people would forever stand at the peak. In a daze, the carriage stopped in front of an extremely imposing mansion. Your Highness, Prince Feng, we have arrived. Your princely mansion has arrived. The excited voice came from an old eunuch named Fu Shou, who had been with Li Fan since childhood. Li Fan was not highly regarded. Fu Shou also suffered a lot of bullying as a result. He was often beaten in the Imperial Academy, but he never betrayed or left Li Fan. So when Li Fan left the palace, he brought along this old eunuch who had cared for him for half his life. At this moment, he stepped down from the carriage. Looking at the majestic and imposing princely mansion, he felt a sense of destiny. In his previous life, he had come from the countryside and grew up eating meals from many households. I got into college thanks to the 200 eggs and 500 small coins pooled by the folks back home. In this life, I was merely a neglected imperial prince, but I still fought my way out, perhaps by some unseen design. It was already fated. Great Tang, I have come. I will not let you down. The An Lushan rebellion Li Fan, will shoulder it alone. We pay our respects to Prince Feng. A large group of servants knelt in greeting. Leading them was none other than the foremost eunuch of the dynasty. Li Lungji isha absoluta cum fidan. Gao Li. Li Fan was astonished. Why had he come? He immediately helped him up with his own hands. He held genuine respect for this man. The world only knows of Ming Dynasty S. Wang Qinzhen, who died for his country, was buried in the imperial mausoleum, and left his name in history. But they do not know this Gao Li. Loyal and upright all his life, honored as a duke of the state. He, too, was buried in the Tailing Mausoleum. Lord Gao, why have you come? I have failed to welcome you from afar. Gao Li looked ordinary, slightly effeminate, with graying hair, already in his late 60s or early 70s. But there was no sign of senility in his eyes, only the sharpness and restraint of someone who had spent half a lifetime in the imperial court. He said with a smile, Your Highness, Prince Feng, have you forgotten? His Majesty has entrusted me with full authority over the establishment of your residence and the marriage arrangements. Look, I brought the servants for the Prince Feng mansion. A total of 50 maids, 50 male servants, 100 craftsmen, 30 cooks, and 200 guards. His Majesty truly thinks highly of your Highness. Li Fan smiled and said, Not at all, not at all. This is all thanks to your good offices, Lord Gao. Come, Lord Gao, please take the seat of honor inside. Gao Li nodded to himself. Prince Feng had risen to favor overnight, yet he was neither arrogant nor boastful, but instead treated the worthy with courtesy. His future prospects were immeasurable. Thank you for your kindness, Your Highness, but I must decline. Once I have handled the matters at hand, I still need to return and report to His Majesty. I'm afraid I cannot stay long. Upon hearing this, Li Fan did not insist on keeping him. He could only agree. At this moment, Gao Li summoned a man. Your Highness, this is the former director of the Imperial Academy, Lord Zhang. This servant has selected him as the steward of your princely mansion. In the future, if there is anything, you may instruct him directly. Your subordinate pays respects to the prince. A middle-aged scholar with a refined air knelt and bowed. Li Fan hesitated for a moment. He said in a low voice, Lord Gao, this prince has a matter I am unsure whether to mention. Please speak, Your Highness. Gao Li was not as scheming as Li Hong. He was quite easy to talk to. The eunuch Fu Shou has served this prince for half my life. Even if he has no great achievements, he has worked hard without complaint. This time when we left the palace, I intended to make him the steward of the mansion. I wonder if Lord Gao would agree. This prince would be most grateful. Li Fan humbled himself greatly. He did not underestimate this eunuch before him in the slightest. Upon hearing this, Fu Shou was moved to tears. Extremely touched, he hurriedly tried to decline. "Your Highness, this old servant." Li Fan waved his hand with a smile, motioned for him not to speak yet. A glint of appreciation for Li Fan flickered in Gao Lishi's eyes. This matter does not overstep boundaries. He naturally would not interfere. Said with a smile, "Your Highness, you are too kind. Of course, you can decide matters of your own household yourself. This servant is merely carrying out orders. In that case, I will take the person back. In the next few days, the Ministry of Rights will send someone to make arrangements." Li Fan nodded. "Thank you, Lord Gao. I will see you to your carriage." Gao Lishi nodded. He did not refuse, perhaps out of consideration for Li Fan's respect and courtesy towards him. After taking 2 steps, he suddenly lowered his voice. "Your Highness Prince Feng, this servant has one more thing to say. I wonder if Your Highness." Li Fan raised an eyebrow. "Lord, please speak freely." Gao Lishi became serious, looked around, and then said cryptically, "You and the Crown Prince are brothers. You should still get along amicably. You also know that since the Xuanwu Gate incident under Emperor Taizong, His Majesty has been very sensitive about conflicts between brothers." Li Fan was shocked by what he heard. Lord Gao knows about today's events. Gao Lishi spoke meaningfully. "Your Highness, even walls have ears in this world." Li Fan's heart trembled. He had just been taught a lesson. The imperial ears and eyes in these ancient times were too exaggerated. Could someone have already been planted by his side? He felt uneasy and vigilant. Then he immediately cupped his hands in salute. "Thank you, Lord, for the advice. This prince would be most grateful." Gao Lishi nodded to himself. Then he was about to board the carriage. But as he lifted his foot, he suddenly turned back. "A kind reminder, Prince Feng, if you're not busy these 2 days, you might go to the Shao Mansion and have a look." After saying these words, he did not linger and left directly, not giving Li Fan a chance to ask further. Watching the carriage slowly depart, Li Fan was thoroughly confused. Go to the Shao Mansion and have a look, what does that mean? Fu Shou, does the great Tang have a custom of the fiancé visiting the bride's home? Fu Shou frowned and shook her head, replying, "To Your Highness, generally on the wedding night, only the bride is allowed to be seen by others. At other times, she must stay in her boudoir, waiting to be married." What did Gao Lishi mean by telling me to visit the Shao residence? Your Highness, perhaps he just wanted you to get acquainted with the place. I heard that after the former governor of Luzhou died, only Miss Shao remains in the household. There is no male head of the household. Li Fan shook his head. "No, that's not it. A man like Gao Lishi, if he specifically instructed something, it definitely couldn't be just casual talk. All right, Fu Shou, make the arrangements. I will go there early tomorrow morning." There was also a hint of curiosity in his eyes. "In 2 lifetimes, this is my first marriage. I don't even know what my future wife looks like. I've heard that ancient women are all virtuous and gentle, regarding their husband as heaven, and every one of them. As for appearance, he didn't have high standards. As long as she looks like Fan Bingbing, that's fine." "Yes, Your Highness." This servant will prepare immediately. Immediately after, Li Fan strode into the imposing Prince Feng's mansion, looking at the hundreds of household members and servants. A sense of fateful belonging arose spontaneously. The gears of destiny for the entire Tang Dynasty began to turn silently. The next day, Li Fan woke up on a gilded soft bed 3 meters wide. An 18-year-old maid helped him change clothes. An 18-year-old maid helped him wash up. An 18-year-old maid even helped him put on his shoes. Even Li Fan, a soul who had received a higher education in the 21st century, couldn't help but sigh. This damn feudal society. Your Highness, the officials from the Ministry of Rights arrived early this morning. They said the date has been chosen, and His Majesty has given his approval. 3 days from now is an auspicious day, when the wedding takes place, besides the Crown Prince. All the other princes and ministers have sent lavish gifts. Prince Su Chong, Li Zong, sent a pair of wish-fulfilling locks. Prince Chun, Li Hua, sent 300 bolts of silk and 3 chests of gold jewelry. Prince Shou Li Mao sent. As Fu Shou recited these gifts, they were beaming with joy, even moved to tears. This was not merely an accumulation of wealth, but a sign that their master had achieved great success. The nobles and aristocrats of Chang'an all sent congratulatory gifts, and these servants also basked in the reflected glory. Li Fan Smilat, though these material possessions were numerous, he wasn't interested in them. His top priority was to enter the military and deal with the catastrophe of the Ensure Rebellion. But suddenly, a name caught his attention. Wait, what did you just say? Who sent a set of Mingguang armor? Fu Shou was stunned for a moment. Your Highness, it was sent by Imperial Consort Yang. That Imperial Consort Yang? Li Fan's heart began to pound violently. Could there be another? Your Highness, there is only one Imperial Consort Yang in the palace. The younger sister of Grand Chancellor Yang Guozhong, the only Imperial Consort personally appointed by His Majesty. Yang Yuhuan. Boom! Li Fan's mind erupted like a tsunami. He couldn't calm down. Yang Yuhuan. In the 21st century, what man didn't know this woman? One of the four great beauties of ancient China. The glory of the Tang Dynasty, a woman for whom Li Longji was willing to bear infamy to possess. She ultimately perished due to the An Lushan rebellion, killed by her own husband at Mawei Slope. Some cursed her as a national scourge, while others said she was manipulated all her life. Utterly innocent, but the dust of history has buried too much truth. No one truly knows what kind of person Yang Yuan was. Yet what cannot be denied is that she was a peerless beauty with a troubled fate, leaving a profound mark upon the Tang Dynasty. Li Fan never imagined that his first interaction with Yang Yuan after crossing over would be like this. Prince, what's wrong? Fu Shou was alarmed and uncertain. Li Fan came back to his senses. He took a deep breath to calm the turmoil within. Though filled with curiosity about Yang Yuan, he knew that she was not someone he could touch for now. Ahem, it's nothing. Put these gifts away. As for the gold and silver, distribute a portion to the household servants, and I'll take the rest to the Shao family. Ah, but your highness, that's such a large sum of money. First, Fu Shou thought of Li Fan's interests. After all, the prince's residence has such high expenses, and daily tips alone are no small cost. Li Fan smilat nonchalantly. It's my wedding, it's only right to celebrate. Besides, I won't shortchange my own people. At these words, all the servants in the courtyard were deeply moved. Their hearts sincere and full of submission, they knelt down one after another. We thank your highness for his grace. We thank your highness for his grace. Soon after, Li Fan, accompanied by 2 guards, arrived at the Shao residence, tucked away in a corner of Chang'an. Ever since the former governor of Luzhou had passed away from illness, the Shao family had essentially been left with no one. Naturally, the entire family's prosperity had faded away, and no one paid them any attention anymore. In fact, Shao Lizzie and Li Fan shared some similarities. They both came from distinguished backgrounds, but were at a low point in life. Yet such was the arrangement of fate, facilitated this marriage. Because of Li Fan's influence, the Shao residence seemed particularly lively today. May I ask who these distinguished guests are? A servant of a Shao household asked politely. Li Fan was dressed modestly, and having been a prince who was not favored in the past, no one had seen him before. So who could have guessed he was the famous Prince Feng of late? Li Fan had intended to reveal his identity, but suddenly he gave a playful smile. He took out his waist token and said, "We are from the Prince Feng's residence. We have come today on the prince's orders, specifically to lend a hand, do some odd jobs." Hearing this, the 2 accompanying guards were stunned. Why doesn't your highness announce your title? The gatekeeper of the Shao family was startled. He immediately knelt down. So you were sent by the prince. My apologies, forgive my rudeness, everyone. Please come inside quickly. This servant will report immediately. Li Fan nodded to himself. He was quite satisfied with his first visit. The Shao family truly lives up to its reputation as a scholarly household. This servant speaks quite tactfully, and even without knowing they were from the Prince Feng's residence. They were not arrogant. On the contrary, they were polite. If the servants are like this, the master must be good. No need, we came to help, not to cause trouble. Brother, you don't need to busy yourself. He was completely without airs. Yes. The man appeared very nervous. After all, they were from the prince's residence. The Shao family's son-in-law, in other words, the Shao family's pillar of support. By the way, where is the eldest young lady? Li Fan's eyes darted. He couldn't help but glance into the courtyard. After all, this future bride of his, he had never seen even once. He was truly curious. Reporting to you, sir, early this morning, someone from the imperial palace came, specially to instruct on pre-wedding matters, teaching the eldest young lady imperial etiquette. At this moment, the eldest young lady is studying in the back courtyard. Lifan Nudda. Can I go over and take a look? The man's face showed difficulty. He was also afraid of offending the sir. Before the wedding, it might be inconvenient. This is the prince's wish. We won't come close. Just a look from afar will suffice. Li Fan was genuinely curious about his betrothed, whom he had yet to marry. What did she look like? Was she fair-skinned? Were her legs long? What about her figure? Upon hearing it was the prince's order, the man immediately straightened up in awe. In that case, please follow me, the three of you. Thank you for the trouble, Li Fan said with great politeness. This courtesy left the Xiao family feeling both flattered and honored. Were all the people of Prince Feng's mansion so kind? In the Xiao family's backyard, birds sang and flowers bloomed. Although it was no longer imposing and had long declined, it still retained the profound heritage of a scholarly family. The environment was tidy and solemn. The servants were meticulous in their duties. Crossing an arched short bridge, Li Fan was eventually led to a long corridor painted with vermilion lacquer. Through the garden, he could see that in the backyard pavilion, a crowd of people had gathered. Your Excellency, look, those wearing round collar robes are the officials from the Ministry of Rites. Those in green court dress are the female officials from the Shangyi Palace. At the innermost, the woman in the light green long skirt, with a jade hairpin, is the eldest daughter, Li Fan Staratintanli. He saw a young woman in her early teens, yet graceful and poised, elegant and composed. Her black hair danced in the wind, her dress fluttered, like a painting of a lady slowly unfolding. Just a fleeting glimpse from dozens of meters away. Li Fan was stunned. Holy shit, she's a stunner. There's no need to even see her face. Gao Lisher didn't deceive me. He didn't deceive me at all, haha. Li Fan couldn't help but burst into loud laughter. A heavy weight lifted from his heart. He had been worried that his betrothed might be 200 pounds. But not only was she not fat, she was a breathtaking beauty capable of toppling kingdoms. The servants of the Xiao mansion beside him were taken aback. What is your excellency laughing at? Li Fan could hardly contain his excitement at this moment. He tried hard to get a better look at his wife. But unfortunately, she was too far away. Plus, Xiao Lizi was learning etiquette. Holding a jade pot, she had her back to him for a long time without moving. As a result, he couldn't observe her up close. So he could only wait. Time ticked by, minute after minute. He ended up waiting a full half hour. During that time, Xiao Lizi outside the pavilion maintained the same ceremonial posture. Without any movement at all, Li Fan suddenly felt something was wrong. This was like standing at attention. Damn it. It was September, not scorching hot. But standing like this under the sun, how could a woman endure it? And such etiquette training, shouldn't it be done indoors? After all, she was his woman. If Li Fan didn't feel distressed, who would? What's going on? Do they always teach etiquette like this? The servant of the Xiao residence nodded nervously. My lord says the royal court has many rituals. As the princess of Prince Feng's consort, there must be proper etiquette before the wedding. For these 3 days, we must practice like this. If you move even slightly, you have to start over and stand for 3 full shurchen. Upon hearing this, Li Fan's originally bright face instantly darkened. In ancient times, 3 shurchen meant 6 hours. Standing still holding a jade pot for 6 hours straight. Is this etiquette or torture? He instinctively felt something was wrong. Just as he was about to do something, suddenly, bang, a noise came from the pavilion. Xiao Lizi couldn't hold on any longer. She collapsed to the ground, and the jade pot shattered, accidentally cutting her palm. Miss! 2 maidservants cried out. They immediately rushed forward, but were blocked by the Ministry of Rites officiant. What are you doing? This is too much. The female officials remained cold, indifferent to Xiao Lizi's pale face. Her forehead covered in sweat, they ignored it completely. What do you think you're doing, Miss Xiao? You're not yet the princess of Fengwan. The pre-wedding training is a tradition of the royal family. If you fail to complete it, it won't just brings shame to the Xiao family, but also to Prince Feng. Xiao Lizi's brows furrowed slightly. The long exposure to the sun and standing had made her dizzy and faint. Her face, like a lotus emerging from water, showed clear signs of weakness. But she didn't want to offend the palace officials. Even less did she want to embarrass her future husband. Thinking this, she bit her rosy lips tightly and forced herself to stand up. Xiao Zi, Xiaoing, you may step back. Dear officials, let us continue. I can do it. But miss, you've been standing for an entire morning already. They're bullying you too much. The outspoken maid said tearfully, unwilling to see her mistress suffer. Hearing this, the female officials seemed to have finally found an opening and a handle. They did not hesitate to scold loudly. You insolent girl, who gave you the right to speak here? You have no sense of propriety. Going to the Prince Feng's mansion will only bring trouble. Wu Shou long rattan whip with countless thorns. Without any warning, it swung toward the two maids. Xiao Luji's beautiful eyes widened in shock. She had never expected that they would not only make things difficult, but even resort to violence. No, even though they were striking her personal maids, she had never treated them as mere servants. Without hesitation, she instinctively shielded her personal maid, using her own back to block the blow. This long rattan whip, not to mention its force, even the thorns alone could tear skin and flesh. She thought that when she stepped in, the punishment would stop. But instead, this venomous-faced female official increased her strength, lashing fiercely. No, the two maids screamed. Their eyes were frantic. In that critical moment, a dark shadow swept in like a fierce tiger, stirring up falling leaves around. Smack the rattan met flesh and blood. A sharp crack sounded, echoing through the scene. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. The entire place fell into dead silence. Xiao Lizi's long eyelashes trembled slightly. She slowly opened her tightly shut, beautiful eyes, only to see a strange, tall, sturdy figure standing before her. That long vine was tightly grasped in his hand. Blood dripped, but the vine did not fall. She was a bit stunned and bewildered. Who is this bastard, and where did he come from? Let go, the female official snapped angrily. I don't know where this insolent brat came from. Are you blind? Bang! Li Fan Kurshaludli. He heavily kicked the female official in the abdomen. He showed no intention of being gentle with her. After all, that wooden vine she struck with earlier also showed no intention of mercy. Puffed. Blood sprayed from the female official's mouth. Her body flew backward like a kite with its string cut. With a loud crash, it shattered the flower bed. Xiao Lizi's beautiful eyes widened as he fainted on the spot. Her slender, delicate fingers covered her rosy lips. Her face turned pale with shock at the sight. Who is this? Panic spread all around. Whether it was the servants rushing from the Xiao mansion or the envoys from the imperial palace, everyone was left stunned and speechless. This man actually dared to strike someone sent by the court. How dare you? You even dare to hit an official. Men, seize this reckless brute. Chao Chun, a deputy of the Ministry of Rights, shouted. Slap. Li Fan delivered another fierce slap across the man's face, sending him flying directly. His screams were like a pig being slaughtered. No, stop. Xiao Lizi, quick-witted as she was, immediately stepped in between them, fearing that this would bring trouble to Prince Feng. Who are you? Stop at once. Miss, they're from Prince Feng's residence. The servant who had led Li Fan earlier reminded her. Xiao Lizi, upon hearing this, her face, as lovely as a lotus, grew even more tense and uneasy. Put away the knife quickly. Don't cause trouble for the prince. I'm fine. They are from the palace. Hurry, she urged anxiously. She tried hard to prevent the situation from escalating. Her brows were tightly knitted, which made her look particularly beautiful. Looking at this naturally unadorned, beautiful woman like a lotus emerging from water. Having been wronged, she still kept thinking about not causing trouble for him. Li Fan couldn't help but be moved. This is perhaps the inner beauty of ancient women. Later, however, Li Fan did not intend to let it go. His own woman being so bullied and mistreated. If he had no reaction, then he wouldn't be a man. Who sent you? A hint of murder flashed in his questioning eyes, recalling that Gao Lisher had inexplicably reminded him to come to Zhao's residence. He had a vague guess in his heart. After all, if there was no one behind them, given these people's rank, would never dare to lay a hand on Xiao Lizi. Chao Chun, a secretary of the Ministry of Rights, covered his swollen face, stood up, and roared angrily. "And who are you, daring to strike a court official? Do you know what crime you've committed?" Li Fan sneered. "I never changed my name. Know my surname. Iam Li. Fan. Li Fan." Everyone present was stunned. Hiss. Why does that name sound so familiar? Boom. Then, it was as if thunder exploded in everyone's mind. "He's the Prince of Foam. The Prince of Foam." Someone shouted, "What?" Xiao Lizzie's beautiful eyes narrowed. She stared intently at the young, heroic man who had suddenly appeared to defend her. Her clear, sparkling eyes were frozen in shock and disbelief. How is this possible? He is the Prince of Foam. Why has he come? We pay our respects to His Highness, the Prince of Foam. The surrounding crowd all knelt down in a wave. As for the officials from the Ministry of Rights, they trembled in fear, as if facing a formidable enemy. "Prince Foam, just now, I failed to recognize your greatness. Please forgive me." Chao Chun knelt and stammered, on the verge of tears. Why would Prince Foam dress like this when coming here? He had never seen him before. How could he recognize him? Now he kept kowtowing incessantly. The arrogance from earlier now left him uncertain of life or death. Li Fan looked down from above. He sneered. "I still prefer your defiant attitude from before." Chao Chun trembled, his face turning pale, wanting to cry but having no tears. "Your Highness, please know, I really didn't recognize you. If I had recognized you, even if I had the courage of a bear's heart and a leopard's gall, I wouldn't dare to shout like that." Li Fan sneered. "You mean, if I hadn't come, you would have been free to act arrogantly?" "No, that's not what I meant. No, you dare to mess with my woman?" Li Fan shouted, pressing the attack again. If not for Gao Lisher's kind reminder, one could only imagine the troubles Xiao Lizzie would have faced these past 3 days. Bang! Crack! A shriek like a pig being slaughtered rang out. Li Fan's fist directly smashed Chao Chun's nose bridge. Blood splattered. Those around who witnessed it were all terrified. They reflexively stepped back. "This prince will ask you one last time. Who ordered you to make things difficult for the princess?" As he spoke, he placed a steel blade against Chao Chun's neck. Chao Chun shuddered, his body beginning to tremble uncontrollably. But he dare not admit it. "Prince, no, please don't. I am here, under the crown prince's orders, to teach the princess court etiquette, preparing for the wedding. I had no intention of making things difficult. The crown prince, so does him." Crack! Crackly Fan clenched his fists, his knuckles turning white and making cracking sounds. A fierce, murderous intent flashed through his calm, deep pupils. He had already been courteous enough, but Li Heng was aggressive and overbearing, and this was a matter between men. Yet he dared to lay hands on his woman. This crossed his bottom line. Gao Lisher had kindly warned him not to conflict with the crown prince, but the other side had already come to bully him. If this can be tolerated, what cannot? He must strike back. Otherwise, they would think he had no temper. "No trouble? Do you take me for blind, Prince? Today I'll cut off one of your hands. As a warning, if there's a next time, you will be beaten to death in court." Upon hearing this, Chao Chun fiercely raised his head. His heart and gall shattered. "No!" He screamed in terror, looking at the knife above his head. Li Fan raised the knife and brought it down. A single, unhesitating stroke. Puffed. Chao Chun's scream was heart-wrenching. His face contorted in agony as he rolled on the ground. He never imagined that the crown prince had sent him. That Prince Foam would actually dare. The bloody sight shocked everyone present, made them reassess Prince Foam. Xiao Lizzie's mind went blank. Her heart raced. She never imagined that Li Fan, for her sake, would not hesitate to clash with the crown prince. On the surface, it was Chao Chun's hand being cut off, but in reality, it was a slap to the crown prince's face. Of course, Li Fan hadn't lost his senses. He directly brought the conflict into the open, essentially telling the world that he and the crown prince were at odds. Right or wrong, it would make Emperor Li Longji lose face and displease him. So he said coldly, "The crown prince sent Ministry of Rights officials to teach etiquette, but Chao Chun personally acted arrogantly, deceiving superiors and bullying subordinates, making things difficult for the princess consort. Cut off his hand as a warning. Drag him away. Inform the Ministry of Rights to send someone else." Yes. The mansion's guards cupped their fists and shouted, immediately dragging the man away. Li Fan spat at the wailing Chao Chun. He knew very well that the crown prince was behind this. But such a trivial matter was not enough to counterattack Li Heng. Chopping off Chao Chun's hand was like a slap in the face. Li Heng couldn't even utter a word. He wasn't protecting Li Heng. He was saving face for Li Longji. Soon after, the Xiao residents returned to peace. Inside an elegant dressing chamber, Xiao Lizzie bent over, carefully dressing the right hand of Li Fan, which had been pricked by thorns. Her movements were gentle, her gaze focused. Li Fan, however, couldn't take his eyes off her face. Her eyebrows were like distant mountains, her almond eyes like clear springs, a melon seed face with cherry lips. Her skin fair and flushed with pink, like the peach blossoms of March. That ultimate girlish charm, combined with the grace of a noble lady, was simply exquisite, leaving those internet celebrities and stars of later generations far behind. No exaggeration, most importantly, in the Tang Dynasty, where plumpness was considered beauty. Her figure was slender and graceful, not fat at all, with delicate curves. Once she becomes a married woman, she will likely be even more enchanting. Prince. All right, Xiao Lizzie let out a sigh. As she lifted her head, she met Li Fan's unabashed gaze. For a moment, the air stood still. A spark of electricity shot through. Xiao Lizzie flinched and looked away in panic. Her heart pounded wildly. Hee. Thanks. Li Fan flushed with embarrassment at being caught. He quickly averted his eyes, so as not to leave a bad impression. Xiao Lizzie tried to calm herself. Her voice was extremely pleasing. Prince, this is what I should do. However, today I have brought trouble to you, Prince. They were men sent by the crown prince. By doing this, Prince, I'm afraid. She hesitated, looking worried. Li Fan smiled nonchalantly. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have suffered these undeserved misfortunes. Besides, you are my wife. Even if the sky falls, this prince will protect you. His simple words stirred an indescribable, strange sensation in Xiao Lizzie's heart. Her cheeks slightly flushed. Even the way she looked at him changed. In ancient times, where carriages moved slowly and one could only love one person in a lifetime, such words were akin to a lifelong vow of eternal love. Its impact was immense. Just as her mind went blank, and she didn't know how to respond, Li Fan suddenly grinat. You seem very nervous. Huh? No, not at all. Xiao Lizzie, caught red-handed, instantly turned crimson, losing her dignified composure. Ha ha ha. Li Fan laugha heartily. Suddenly, he felt a sense of falling in love. Damn, she looks so beautiful when she blushes. This isn't a feeling that later online influencers could give. Those have probably passed through countless hands by now. But Xiao Lizzie's maidenly blush already said it all. All right, I'll stop teasing you. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave now. Hearing this, Xiao Lizzie felt a twinge of loss. She had wanted to chat with her future husband, but was too shy to speak up. Oh, right, I almost forgot this. Li Fan slapped his forehead. Take this silver. Distribute it later among the Xiao Mansion servants and the workers who helped. Give each person 10 taels and tell them it's wedding money for me. Keep the rest for yourself. Use it for household expenses after you've crossed the threshold. At this, Xiao Lizzie's personal maid's not far away, and the Xiao Mansion servants all exchanged knowing glances, their faces lighting up with joy. Look, the prince is giving us wedding money, and he's entrusted the money pouch to the young miss for safekeeping. The prince is already doting on Our Lady before she's even married into the household. That's right, Our Lady has finally seen the end of her hardships. Xiao Lizzie was instantly enveloped by an unprecedented, immense sense of happiness. Her heart kept pounding violently. No matter how many poems and books she had read, they could not calm her, and with the maid's chatter around her, her dignified face turned as rosy as the sunset clouds at dusk. Charming and innocent, Your Highness. Isn't this too much? She felt a bit embarrassed to accept it. She asked tentatively, subconsciously speaking to him as if he were her husband. You've just been granted the title of prince and established your own household. It would be better to be thrifty. After all, in officialdom, you need to grease the wheels from top to bottom. What do you think? Li Fan grinat. He teased, not even married yet, and already you're worrying for me. Xiao Lizzie was completely unable to handle the teasing. The elegant lady's ears turned completely red. Here, take it's not much at all. It's just a bit of silver. The prince, am happy to spend it on you. Li Fan pressed it into her hand insistently. Xiao Lizzie, for some reason, felt as if honey had melted in her heart, gazing at the money pouch in her hand. Her slender jade-like fingers unconsciously gripped it tightly. "Thank you for your gift, Your Highness. Lizzie will surely do it well. Then I'll be on my way now." Xiao Lizzie seemed to remember something and abruptly lifted her head, suddenly calling out, "Your Highness, wait, what is it?" Li Fan turned around. Xiao Lizzie hurried back to pick up the ointment from the table and pursed her lips, saying softly, "Your Highness, please take this with you. Remember to change the dressing. Don't let your wound worsen." In truth, Li Fan's wound was not serious, and he didn't really need the ointment, but he gladly accepted it. As he reached out to take it, his fingers stealthily brushed across Xiao Lizzie's palm. Xiao Lizzie's delicate body trembled with a start. She snatched her hand back as if shocked by lightning, her heart racing like a startled deer. Watching her flustered state, Li Fan couldn't help but burst into laughter again. "Ha, I'm off now." The moment he left, the manor erupted into an uproar. "Miss, the prince really dotes on you." "Indeed, and the prince is so handsome. You'll be blessed in the future, miss." The maids gathered around her, bound by deep affection with Xiao Lizzie. Xiao Lizzie's mind was filled with nothing but Li Fan's voice and image. Snapping back to reality, she pretended to be annoyed and said, "What are you all saying? Asking for scolding, you are." After Li Fan left, an extra guard contingent appeared out of nowhere at Xiao Manor. These were the guards of Prince Feng's manor. From the moment they were assigned to Li Fan, they became his personal retainers, sharing honor and disgrace alike. Afterwards, he went to the northern section of the Imperial Guards to do something else very important. This place is located in the northern part of Chang'an, heavily guarded and extremely mysterious. The Imperial Guard during Emperor Xuanzong of Tang's reign was divided into the northern and southern bureaus. Each bureau further subdivided into many guards, all under the direct command of Li Longji. They were also the elite forces defending Chang'an. Their origins could even be traced back to the 100 cavalry of Li Shimin's era. With a long history, but over the years, personnel had constantly changed, and with prolonged absence from warfare, their combat effectiveness was no longer what it was during Emperor Taizong's time. Even so, this Imperial Guard remained Li Longji's pride, and the 3,000 troops assigned to Li Fan this time were precisely from the left Longwu army under the Northern Bureau. According to protocol, he first needed to report for duty, obtain the military tally, and then muster the troops. March out to suppress the bandits. "Halt! This is a restricted area of the Northern Bureau. Who approaches?" A voice rang out. This was a group of soldiers clad in pitch-black iron armor. Tall and mighty soldiers with fierce murderous intent in their eyes. In an instant, Li Fan's carriage was quickly surrounded. Li Fan glanced through the window and looked inside. The Imperial Guard headquarters, dark clouds pressing over the city. Soul-stirring and awe-inspiring, his heart trembled. No wonder they are the central Imperial Guards of the Tang Dynasty. Even a dying camel is still bigger than a horse. Just randomly picking out a few thousand of them, without considering logistics, it would be more than enough to destroy a small country. Unfortunately, history records that after An Lushan's rebellion, the central Imperial Guards of the Tang Dynasty, due to internal corruption and poor command, were directly routed by An Lushan's forces at Tong Pass, becoming a one-sided game. Suffering heavy casualties, the only Pyrrhic victory they later participated in was the famous Battle of Xiangji Temple in later generations, which also directly drained the Tang Empire's resources and almost faded from the stage of history. A sudden idea popped into Li Fan's mind. What if that ancient master of warfare, the unparalleled emperor through the ages, would surely be furious at the deeds of his descendants? Would his coffin lid fail to hold him down? He'd leap out and snap two belts in anger. Regret is regret. Imagination is imagination. One still has to walk their own path. Li Fan shook his head, shaking off those stray thoughts. "I am Li Fan, here today, specifically to report for duty." He took out his waist token. Hearing this, the Imperial Guards blocking the way were shocked. Their faces changed in unison, because in their understanding, no prince would ever go out with only 2 attendants, wearing plain clothes. "We pay our respects to your highness. Just now, we failed to recognize you. We beg your highness's forgiveness. Ignorance is blameless. Rise." Li Fan jumped off the carriage. "Thank you, Your Highness." The Imperial Guards wiped a hidden sweat, thinking to themselves, "Thank goodness, Your Highness. This way, please. Allow me to go in and announce your arrival." Li Fan nodded and followed him in. His eyes constantly scanned the Imperial Guard's northern command. Full of curiosity in his previous life, he could only catch a glimpse from history books. Now, it was vividly presented before his eyes. But before he could observe much longer, dense footsteps sounded from within the northern command. A large troop of soldiers wearing dark black armor, tall and strong, came walking over. The leading one had broad shoulders and a wide back, tall and mighty, fully 1.8 meters in height, extremely conspicuous, with sharply defined facial features. Though not handsome, he exuded a rugged masculinity. His eyes were like those of a fierce beast in a deep pond. With just one look, Li Fan concluded, this man is definitely no ordinary person. He came face to face and knelt down in a bow. "Your subordinate, Chun Xuanli, pays respects to His Highness, Prince Feng." Li Fan was shocked. "You're Chun Xuanli?" At these words, the senior generals of the Northern Command were all stunned. Chun Xuanli himself was somewhat taken aback. "Although I've never had much interaction with Prince Feng, it's not like I wouldn't recognize him." In reply, "Your Highness, this subordinate is precisely the Grand General of the Northern Guard Dragon Valiant Army, Chun Xuanli." After receiving the definite answer, Li Fan's heart surged with waves of shock. Another historical celebrity. This man participated in the historically famous Maui Slope mutiny. He was Li Longji's ironclad confidant, utterly loyal, later to protect the Li Tang Dynasty. He executed Yang Guozhong and Yang Yuhuan. After escorting Li Longji back to Chang'an, he was killed by Li Heng. His life was mixed with praise and blame. The extreme mutiny became a stain on his record. But Li Fan always thought this man was just a scapegoat. Historically, no one can clearly explain Yang Yuhuan's death. Overall, this man was a loyal minister, and also a general of the Imperial Guard. Building a good relationship can't hurt. "General Chun, you are too courteous. I have long heard that General Chun is skilled in managing troops. He is the top general under my father's command. I've admired him from afar for so long, which is why I was so excited just now." He chuckled. Chun Xuanli broke into a smile. Steady and humble, not at all the overbearing general that is hard to control. "Your Highness flatters me. I have long received His Majesty's orders, but I never expected Your Highness to arrive so soon. I assumed Your Highness would wait until after the wedding to come and report for duty and review the troops." It wouldn't do to cram at the last moment. I thought it better to come earlier and take a look, meet the men below, get familiar with everything, and also discuss the campaign to suppress the bandits. After all, General Chun certainly understands these matters better than I do. I've come to seek your advice and learn from you," Li Fan said with a smile. Hearing this, the senior officers of the Northern Bureau looked at Li Fan with significantly more warmth. A flicker of goodwill also passed through Chun Xuanli's eyes. A prince who treats his subordinates with such courtesy and humility is truly rare. There is no trace of arrogance in him. It seems what Lord Gao said was absolutely right. "Your Highness, I dare not. This is not a suitable place to talk, in my humble opinion. Perhaps we should go into the inner hall of the yamen." Li Fan nodded. Please. Soon, a crowd of people followed Li Fan into the hall. There were no ornate furnishings here, only various weapons and maps, exuding an aura of iron and blood. As soon as the tea was served, Chun Xuanli got straight to the point. "Your Highness, this is the military tally." Li Fan took it. The tally, no larger than half a palm, was filled with the cold and sternness of bronze. Piercing through the skin, penetrating the bloodline, it seemed to hold a sentiment. "Are kings and generals born?" A sense of magic that stirs ambition. Any man who held this thing would likely give rise to an ambition to vie for the throne. But soon, he came to his senses. Something was off. Logically, the troops were not yet to be mobilized. The tally should not have been handed over in advance. After all, what if someone used it to rebel? Then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a figure lurking in the shadows by the window of the North Hall. That person was staring intently at him. Recalling that Chun Xuanli was one of Li Longji's men, Li Fan was instantly startled. A chill went down his spine. A test? This was another one of Li Longji's tests. Damn it. The old man had directed all his vigilance toward him. He immediately pushed the military tally back. Prince Feng, what are you? Chun Xuanli raised an eyebrow. Li Fan forced a smile. General Chun, there's still time before the campaign begins. I cannot take the military tally just yet. That's the rule, no one may overstep it. Hearing this, Chun Xuanli gave a subtle nod. Then, without changing his expression, he glanced toward the window, as if he were reporting on a task. And it was that slight change in expression that Li Fan caught. An even deeper chill ran through him, just as he thought Qin Xuanli was acting on orders. This military token is a test of whether I have ambitions, whether I follow the rules. He couldn't help but curse inwardly. Li Longji, in his later years, was truly too incompetent. He repeatedly doubted loyal people, ambitious people like An Lushan, but he kept delegating power, ultimately leading to millions dying with him. Cursing aside, Li Longji was still the emperor. For the greater good, he could only endure. Wait for the right moment. Since that's the case, then, Prince Feng, I will take back the military token for now. When you have completed your marriage and set out to suppress the bandits, I will hand it over to you along with the troops. Chun Xuanli said, his angular face showing no intention to frame him. Only the calm of carrying out imperial orders. Li Fan certainly wouldn't blame him. He showed a smile. Good. At this moment, he clearly sensed that the peeping gaze from the window seemed to have vanished. This meant he had passed the test. He adjusted his mindset, humbly asked for advice. By the way, General Chun, may I ask how much you know about the bandits in eastern Zhejiang? I dare to seek your advice. When I go there in the future, I can prepare accordingly and not fail His Majesty's trust. As the saying goes, one does not strike a smiling face. Chun Xuanli naturally would not refuse. Besides, this was a matter of official business. There was no harm in talking about it. Your Highness, as far as I know, the bandits in eastern Zhejiang are mainly concentrated in Tai County, Yin County, Jiangtu County, and the other 5 counties. They are mostly composed of refugees, lacking training and not a significant threat. But these people hide in the mountains and forests, making them difficult to track and eradicate. Moreover, the bandits have many informants within and outside the 5 counties. Whenever the local authorities sent troops, they would immediately get wind of it. They would flee at the first sign, making it quite troublesome. Chun Xuanli was seriously fan-knotted, but he cannot back down. This is my only chance. So about how many men do these bandits have? Chun Xuanli shook his head. It's hard to say, but the Ministry of War once made a tally. The bandits across various locations should be no less than 6 or 7,000. Additionally, they have quite a few weapons, and some crude bows and arrows. By the time the discussion ended, it was dusk. Li Fan went straight back to the prince's mansion. He began to calm his mind and focus on studying the marching route and the matter of suppressing the bandits. After all, the bandits in eastern Zhejiang were not easy to deal with. Moreover, he had already offended Crown Prince Li Heng. This campaign to suppress the bandits must succeed. If it fails, Li Heng will surely make trouble. Just as he was concentrating intently, suddenly, Wu Yong, the captain of the prince's guard, brought a piece of news. What did you say? Li Fan raised an eyebrow, slightly startled. Wu Yong cupped his hands. Your Highness, it's absolutely true. His Majesty has ordered the execution of Cao Chun and all those who troubled the consort today. He also sent people to deliver a large amount of gold, silver, and jewels to the Shao residence, claiming it was in memory of the former governor of Luzhou, who had been loyal and devoted. It was specially given as a dowry. Upon hearing this, Li Fan's gaze remained calm. It was both expected and unexpected. From this, it seemed he had made the right call. By not targeting Li Heng, Li Longji and he had an unspoken understanding. Neither of them had blown the matter out of proportion, avoiding a scandal of discord among brothers. As for the dowry, it was more of a placation and compensation. Cao Chun and his crew had taken the fall, becoming scapegoats for Li Heng. But Li Fan felt no sympathy whatsoever. They had brought it upon themselves. I understand. You may leave now. Do not let anyone disturb me for the next few days. If anyone comes to visit, tell them I am busy with the wedding and the bandit suppression, and that I am not at home, Li Fan said. Too many people had been coming to visit him these past couple of days, trying to curry favor and win him over. But knowing how history would unfold, he was in no mood for any of this. It was late at night in the Crown Prince's eastern palace. Majestic and noble, utterly luxurious. Leaves rustled desolately. If the Taiji Palace was the center of power, then this was the second center of power in the Great Tang. Your Highness, His Majesty sent this servant here, for no other reason than to inform you. The Ministry of Rites has been inefficient. They need to be disciplined. This matter is for you to handle. Gao Lishur was followed by many eunuchs, carrying lanterns. Crown Prince Li Heng, along with his officials, knelt on the ground. Li Heng's expression was grim. He even looked uneasy. Though it was said to be disciplining the Ministry of Rites, it was actually a warning to him. Yes, please convey to Father Emperor that I will indeed discipline them well. I beg Father Emperor to take care of his dragon body, get plenty of rest, and in a few days, I will certainly visit the Emperor Father. He pressed his forehead to the ground, filial and honest, a stark contrast to his inner, scheming nature. Gao Lishur nodded. He said nothing and left with his men. As they departed, Li Heng slowly rose to his feet. His honest, slightly plump face flickered uncertainly in the candlelight. Gloomy as water, His Highness the Crown Prince. It is my fault, a failure in handling affairs. Several people fell to their knees with a thud. Trembling, Li Heng let out a cold snort. Humph, what use is it to say this now? The Eastern Palace officials dared not speak. All bowed their heads, the atmosphere oppressive. Only Li Heng's cold muttering could be heard. What a Prince Feng, publicly cutting off Chao Chun's hand today. How did I fail to see that my good younger brother actually had such boldness? 20 years, and I misjudged him. Bang! He slammed his palm heavily on the bronze brazier. With a resounding sound, the emperor ordered him to reside in the Prince Feng's mansion, allowed him to participate in political affairs, and also handed over 3,000 troops of the Dragon Martial Army to him. If this bandit suppression succeeds, it will likely lead to a smooth entry into the Imperial Guard, gaining control of the military. If this continues, the Xuanwu Gate incident might just repeat itself. His words were filled with deep unease. After all, in the Li family, succession by order was a joke. Hearing this, the strategist's eyes suddenly lit up. Stepping forward, he said in a low voice, Your Highness, I have a plan. It could depose Prince Feng, though it's somewhat risky. What plan? The strategist then leaned in and whispered something in his ear. Li Heng's small eyes flickered uncertainly. He was clearly hesitant, especially since Li Longji had just sent someone to warn him. Moreover, Li Fan's current power was not enough to force a major move. But soon, his hesitation vanished completely. He would not allow anything that might pose a threat to his existence. Prince Feng, since you are willing to serve me, then don't blame your elder brother for destroying you. He murmured to himself, his dignified, richly featured face half in shadow, half in candlelight. Time flew by. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, the Prince Feng's mansion resounded with gongs and drums. Lanterns and colorful decorations adorned every corner. A red carpet was laid all the way from the street to the innermost part of the mansion. Hundreds of servants were bustling about, extremely busy. Early in the morning, Li Fan, escorted by 100 guards, set off in grand style to fetch the bride. He could hardly contain his excitement. He almost fell when dismounting. After all, it was his first marriage, and he was marrying a stunning beauty of the highest order. Who could remain calm and unmoved? When he saw the bride in her full bridal attire, Li Fan was stunned. Tang Dynasty wedding women mainly wore hairpins and fine ceremonial gowns. Grand and graceful, dignified and elegant. This perfectly accentuated Xiao Lizzie's elegance. Even with a red veil covering her face, and her features hidden, one could still feel that stunning beauty, that breathtaking grace. The auspicious hour had arrived. The bride entered the sedan chair, and with a loud shout, the grand wedding officially began. Stepping over the brazier, 3 arrows to ward off evil. Bowing to heaven and earth, the union ceremony, tying hair, knots, these rituals, countless as they were, truly broadened Li Fan's horizons. During the event, Li Longji's special envoy Gao Lishur arrived with an imperial decree, offering congratulations on the wedding and bestowing yet more gold, silver, and jewels. With the emperor setting the example, the other princes and ministers naturally followed suit. In the end, the back courtyard of the Prince Feng's mansion was filled with 2 entire warehouses of gold, silver, and jewels, along with agate jewelry. The wedding banquet continued for a full day. After attending to all the guests, it was already dark. Shutting the doors, and declining further visitors, it was finally time for the main event. Li Fan had been eagerly anticipating this for quite some time. If it weren't for the conservative views of ancient times, he would have wanted to enter the bridal chamber at noon. A group of maids blushed deeply and scattered in all directions. Creak. The door covered with double happiness characters was pushed open by Li Fan. Unlike outside, it was exceptionally quiet here. In the joyous room, a refreshing scent of a woman's body lingered. Hearing the sound, Xiao Lizzie, seated on the vermilion soft bed, instantly tensed up. Her jade-like hands were so nervous that they broke out in a light, fragrant sweat. Li Fan sneakered. He closed the door and slowly stepped forward. Lizzie, been waiting long? Prince, not long. Xiao Lizzie's voice was pleasant, with an obvious tremor, clearly nervous. Still calling me Prince? Li Fan Tiesa. Husband, Xiao Lizzie called out awkwardly. In an instant, Li Fan's bones turned to jelly. How could there be such a beautiful voice in the world? The bridal chamber later, that's even more unimaginable. Whoosh! He could no longer contain himself. He lifted Xiao Lizzie's red veil with his bare hands. In an instant, their eyes met. The lamps shimmered, and time seemed to stand still. Gulp! Li Fan was stunned. Her jet black hair was coiled up with a gold hairpin, revealing her fair, slender neck, exuding elegance and dignity. She wore a bright red silk wedding dress, adorned with intricate mandarin duck and cloud patterns, outlining her graceful figure. Her exquisite makeup, eyebrows like distant hills, eyes like autumn waves. Her oval face was lightly dusted with rouge, adding a touch of shyness and charm. Today, she was far more stunning than 3 days ago, like an AI-generated top-tier ancient beauty. Even her slender jade-like fingers exuded an ultimate sense of refinement. Gulp! Li Fan swallowed hard. It wasn't he that he lacked self-control, but Xiao Lizzie was simply too beautiful. Far more so than any of those artificial beauties from later generations. At that moment, he longed to pounce on her and just devour her. Xiao Lizzie blushed deeply under his scorching gaze, compounded by their newfound marriage. Her elusive glances were tinged with shyness, stirring his heart. Husband, is there something on my face? There is, Xiao Lizzie said nervously. What is it? A bit of beauty, Li Fan blurted out. Puffed. Xiao Lizzie was caught off guard and laughed. Her eyes curved into crescent moons, and she appeared even more delicate than a flower. Husband, it's not that exaggerated. It is, of course it is. This prince was smitten the first moment I laid eyes on you. Li Fan smirked slyly, and Xiao Lizzie's cheeks flushed prettily. Actually, the first time I saw you, my lord, I felt something indescribable too. Haha, in that case, my lady, what are we waiting for? Li Fan rubbed his hands together, scarcely able to contain his eagerness. After all, he was no saint, and Xiao Lizzie was a rare beauty like none he had seen in either life. Hearing this, Xiao Lizzie's cheeks burned hot, and her heart leapt in her throat. Before marriage, the elders had already taught her what would happen on the wedding night, so she knew exactly what Li Fan meant. But she hadn't expected him to be so straightforward. Husband, we haven't drunk the nuptial wine yet. Her voice trembled, her whole body tense with nervousness, to the point that her slender legs felt weak. Li Fan forcibly suppressed his inner urge, picked up the wine cup, and said, Come, my dear wife, in this life, as husband and wife, we share the same bed. In death, the same grave. Even if mountains lose their peaks, or heaven and earth merge, only then would I dare to part from you. Upon hearing this, Xiao Lizzie's beautiful eyes lit up. While amazed by Li Fan's literary talent in speaking so eloquently, she was also deeply moved beyond measure. My dear husband, in this life, I, Lizzie, will follow you in life and death. Her gaze was filled with tenderness like water. Li Fan was moved. He knew that when ancient women said they would follow in life and death, they meant it literally. It was not just empty words. There was a fundamental difference from later generations. She downed it. Cough, cough, cough. Xiao Lizzie seemed to be drinking for the first time. She almost choked. The spiciness made her brows furrow tightly, but she forced herself to stay calm. After finishing, a charming blush spread across her face. Even her limpid eyes held a hint of tipsiness. The next moment, she was lifted up by the waist. Her embroidered shoes fell to the ground, revealed a pair of exquisite feet, with nearly perfect arches. Then, Li Fan gently laid her on the vermilion soft bed. Neither of them spoke. It was so quiet that they could hear each other's pounding hearts. The two of them, one above the other. Their eyes met as if they could pull silk threads. Romantic, tense, gentle. Shyness and many other emotions intertwined, coupled with the flickering red candles. The atmosphere reached its peak in an instant. Gradually, their lips drew closer and closer. Closer and closer, Xiao Lizzie's mind went blank. Her heart pounded faster, as if it might jump out at any moment. A muffled sound escaped her red lips. Their lips officially made contact. That skin-to-skin touch was like a tsunami, striking the conservative woman Xiao Lizzie's body, leaving it weak and limp. Li Fan greedily took, from a light peck to a deep, unrestrained kiss. Xiao Lizzie had never experienced this before. She yielded completely, her delicate hands clutching his back tightly. Her eyes shut tight, and this was only the beginning of their wedding night. Li Fan's large hands began to roam as the atmosphere heated up. They wandered continuously. At first, Xiao Lizzie could still bear it, but Li Fan's hands were far too bold. Flustered, she instinctively tried to stop him, but it was useless. Soon Li Fan got his way, reaching the proud peaks. Xiao Lizzie let out a soft moan. She felt utterly mortified. Soon, one by one, the intricate, vintage wedding garments slid off the bed and onto the floor. The passionate kiss ended at that moment. Xiao Lizzie felt she was suffocating. Her face flushed red, her jade-like hands resting on Li Fan's shoulders. She took deep breaths. "My prince. Call me husband, husband. Can you blow out the lamp?" Xiao Lizzie's voice carried a hint of pleading. She wished she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. No need. Li Fan's throat felt as if it were on fire. His whole being had transformed into a wild beast. He swore that in both his lives, this was the first time he had seen such a fair-skinned woman. Xiao Lizzie was helpless. Her nervousness made her delicate. Snow-white collarbones rise and fall continuously. When Li Fan reached for her last piece of modesty cloth, she used her last ounce of strength, grabbed from under the pillow the pre-prepared white cloth, and placed it beneath herself. At that moment, Li Fan's mind had only one impulse: to conquer the human pass. With a rustle, as the bed curtains fell, the romantic scenery on the wide, soft bed was completely hidden. "Husband, this is your wife's first time. I beg you to be gentle." The next second, a long, plaintive cry, full of twists and turns, rang out, lingering around the roof beams, reverberating through the night. It made the moon over Chang'an shyly hide behind the dark clouds. The next day, the sun was bright. Joyfully, the mansion's servants bustled about under Fushou's direction. The entire backyard was utterly quiet. No one dared to disturb. Harsh sunlight slanted in through the window, falling on Li Fan's face. His handsome face was slightly gaunt. A hint of stubble gave him a mature look beyond his years. Perhaps because of the sunlight, Li Fan slowly opened his eyes. Instinctively, he reached out to pull Xiao Lizzie into his arms, but his hand grasped only empty air. He jolted awake. "Lizzie, Lizzie!" Outside the pearl curtain, footsteps sounded. "Your Highness, your consort is here." "I am here." She walked quickly, already fully dressed and groomed, wearing a very appropriate court dress. Her hair was in a bun, with jade pendants and gold hairpins exuding elegance. It was visible that the aura in her eyes and brows had changed noticeably from yesterday. Looking closely, she was noticeably a bit unnatural in her walk. Li Fan sat on the bed and directly hugged Xiao Lizzie. Xiao Lizzie was caught in a full embrace. She was stunned for a moment, then smiled sweetly. "Your Highness, what's wrong?" "Nothing. I just feel this is too surreal." Li Fan chocolat, seen from last night, surfaced in his mind. Xiao Lizzie's voice was so beautiful. Such a dignified and elegant goddess. How had I managed to win her over? This trip to the Tang Dynasty was worth it. Caught by his ambiguous gaze, the new bride's eyes and brows showed shyness. She was too embarrassed to look directly at Li Fan. She quickly changed the subject. "Prince, please get up quickly. Your wife has prepared your python robe and breakfast. According to custom, I must accompany you to the palace to pay respects to His Majesty and the imperial noble consort." Li Fan slapped his forehead. Damn, if Lizzie hadn't reminded me, I would have completely forgotten. In ancient times, this was a rule, even more so in the imperial family. After a prince's wedding, he must enter the palace to pay respects to the emperor. Lizzie is so thoughtful. Then I'll get up right away. With that, he jumped straight out of the bed that still carried Xiao Lizzie's scent. Xiao Lizzie could barely stand to look. Her face flushed red at that moment. Li Fan was completely naked. Although she had seen it all last night, she still felt embarrassed. She hurriedly helped Li Fan change clothes. Being virtuous and dexterous, she quickly dressed him. By the way, Prince, Xiao Lizzie suddenly called out. What's wrong? Li Fan turned back. Xiao Lizzie took something out from under the pillow. Her stunningly beautiful face was 3 parts shy, 7 parts gentle. My prince, this is the sign of my purity. Please have a look. The sign of purity. Li Fan didn't react at first, until he took the white cloth and opened it to see. Crimson bloodstains dotted on it, like plum blossoms in full bloom. Oh, he finally caught on. The corners of his mouth instantly became as hard to suppress as an AK. His mood sword, the so-called sign of purity, was the proof of a maiden's chastity. In ancient weddings, the woman had to present this to her husband or mother-in-law for inspection the morning after the wedding. Lizzie, I love you to death. Moi. Li Fan planted a fierce kiss on her red lips, almost deforming her delicate lip shape. His rakish manner stood in stark contrast to Xiao Lizzie's dignified and graceful temperament. Complementing each other perfectly, Xiao Lizzie said reproachfully, My prince, let us go. Li Fan laughed heartily. Truly, youth prevails with the spring breeze of success. The couple had a simple breakfast. Then they boarded the carriage together, heading to the imperial palace to pay their respects. Along the way, from the servants of the prince's residence to the imperial guards at the palace gate, everyone offered congratulations with smiles. Li Fan was still immersed in the joy of his wedding. He held Xiao Lizzie's jade-like hand the entire time, never letting go. At the imperial palace, your servant pays respects to His Highness Prince Feng. Gao Lishur led a large group of eunuchs in bowing. Hearing that it was Gao Lishur, Li Fan immediately stepped forward and helped him up with both hands. Lord Gao, you are too polite. I haven't had the chance to thank you for last time. I've noted the favor, Gao Lishur said with a smile. Your Highness, helping you manage the wedding affairs, is His Majesty's decree. I dare not. I dare not. The two exchanged veiled words. Both understood it was a reminder about going to the Xiao family, but neither voiced it aloud. Smart people understood each other tacitly. At this moment, Xiao Lizzie, dressed in dignified palace attire, stepped forward. She performed a curtsy and said, Greetings, Lord Gao. Gao Lishur nodded to himself. From his years navigating the ups and downs of officialdom, he could tell that Xiao Lizzie was a good princess consort, by no means someone who would stir up power and intrigue, or cause trouble from within the family. You are too kind, Your Highness. This servant is here on His Majesty's orders, to await the prince and princess consort. His Majesty originally planned to receive you both in the rear palace together with Consort Yang. But due to some unexpected developments, His Majesty has moved to the Zichan Hall. The prince needs to follow this servant. As for the princess consort, you may go to the rear palace to pay respects to Consort Yang. In Emperor Li Longji's later years, his original empress had long been deposed and had died. Yang Yuan was titled Precious Consort, but in truth held the status of empress. It was only natural for the princess to pay her respects there. Yet Li Fan felt a faint disappointment. For Yang Yuan, one of the 4 legendary beauties of ancient China, he could not help but be somewhat curious. He wished to see what she truly looked like. But as things stood, there would be no chance this time. Very well. Then I must trouble Master Gao to send someone to guide Lizzie. She was unfamiliar with this place and did not know the rules of the inner court. Please have someone look after her, Master Gao. Li Fan said with a cupped fist bow and a smile. Gao Lishur beamed. Prince Feng, you flatter me. Rest assured, with this guarantee, Li Fan was completely at ease. He turned to Xiao Lizzie. Lizzie, see you this evening. Though Xiao Lizzie was a bit nervous alone, she came from a scholarly family, a lady of noble birth who had received such training since childhood. He nodded and gave a grunt of acknowledgement. Then the two parted. Gao Lishur led the way ahead. Passing through the palace precincts, they stepped onto the tall, white jade stairs, heading straight for Zichan Hall.